Walmart cookies. They bomb. Hey, look at that bike over there.
You see? Hey, let's go get that.
Let's go get that, Cuddy. Let's go, Cuddy. Bike, get it. Got it. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Hey, we out there, Cuddy. Cuddy. Hey, they stole my bike. Yeah, we got a bike now, Cuddy. So that's what we do. Trying to get another one?
Heck yeah.
Let's go, Cuddy.
Tomorrow? Yeah,
All
it's
right,
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Let's go.
They come back tomorrow. I got something for them.
Friday.
Hey, what's up, Cuddy? You already know.
Man.
Hold up, this looks like the people that stole my bike. Hey, give me my bike back. Hey, give me my bike. Oh, Cuddy. Oh, Cuddy. Damn, I miss you though. I take it. Cuddy.
I'm just young and I'm getting it. Young and I'm getting it. Young and I'm getting it. I'm just young and I'm living shit. I just want the money. Y'all can keep